Hello, I'm Samuel Decker. The piece you just heard is a six-voice motet called Victimae paschali laudes, a setting of an Easter sequence by 16th century composer Adrian Willaert. Come with me as we explore the fascinating story of this piece, its composer, text, and history.
Adrian Willaert was a Flemish composer active mainly in Italy. He was also one of the most prominent pedagogues of his time. Most of what we know about his life comes from the writings of his faithful students. Willaert was born in Bruges, in modern-day Belgium, around 1490. Then, the city was part of the Duchy of Burgundy, a major European artistic, musical, and economic power.
Willaert found his first job as a singer in Ferrara, Italy, under Cardinal Ippolito il Deste. 10 years later, Willaert took a position in Venice as the choir master of the chapel at St. Mark's Basilica. The Doge of Venice, Andrea Gritti, envisioned creating a new Rome in the city and sought out Willaert specifically.
Already we see that Willaert was widely known as a musician. He must have lived up to his reputation as well, judging by several pay raises over his tenure. Beginning in 1527 at a salary of 70 ducats a year, the Doge quickly ordered his pay to be increased to 100 ducats in 1529. By 1556, he was making 200 ducats a year, a salary on par with some of the highest musical positions in Europe. To put this salary in perspective, consider that the choir master at St. Anthony's in nearby Padua was only paid 160 ducats. Willaert was even paid better than a captain in the Venetian army, who received 180 ducats per year. Clearly, Willaert was considered a very important person, and his employers were eager to keep him.
Willaert had under his command quite an impressive ensemble. Employing 16 adult singers, the choir rivaled some of the finest in Europe at the time. Their skill must have been sufficient to please Willaert, as there are few records of new personnel in his first few years. It's around this time that a humorous anecdote about Willaert takes place. Upon a visit to the papal chapel, Willaert heard a choir performing his six-voice motet you're hearing now, Verbum Bonum et Suave. The singers believed the piece was by Josquin de Pré, and when Willaert informed them that the composition was his, they no longer wished to sing it.
In Willaert's career, we also see a continuation of the importance of the composer as an artist and celebrity. The procurators at St. Mark's required that all of Willaert's compositions be copied and preserved for the chapel's use, and requested that they be notified whenever Willaert completed a new piece. Willaert also hired a choir boy to oversee the chapel's music collection. Many of his works were published during Willaert's own lifetime, showing just how celebrated he was by his contemporaries.
Willaert originally wrote Victimae paschali laudes as a four-voice motet, and eventually composed another version for six voices. This six-voice motet employs a very flowing structure, with points of imitation moving between the different voices, and dovetailed cadences where the chords are disguised by new voices, starting throughout the cadence. In fact, the ends of each section are some of the very few examples of a clear cadence within this piece.
The piece also demonstrates a very clearly defined binary form, in which two roughly equal sections are split by a double bar line. The second section is more narrative-driven than the first, and thus has a lot more text, yet the sections are almost equal in length. From this, we can tell that the balance between the two sections is due to the development of music, rather than based on the length of each section of text. This requires the use of telescoping the text, wherein different voices sing separate lines or stanzas of text simultaneously, allowing the composer to condense a longer text into a shorter section of music. With the two sections being split, and knowing that this piece would be performed on Easter Sunday, it follows that a choir would sing the first section, break in the middle for some manner of spoken worship, and would then continue on with the second section when appropriate in the service.
The text of Victimae paschali laudes is ascribed to Wipo of Burgundy, the chaplain to the Holy Roman Emperor Conrad II, in the 10th and 11th centuries. It was one of 4 sequences retained by the Council of Trent in their process of cleaning up the scene of Christian music. According to their decree titled Abusus in Sacrificio Missae, or Abuses in the Sacred Mass, it was their true goal to remove all popular ideas from Christian music and return to the previous simplistic traditions, ideally removing all polyphony in favor of plain chant.
Victimae paschali laudes was one of the texts chosen for the council's new, proper Christian music tradition. Victimae paschali laudes translates to praise for the paschal victim, which refers to Jesus and the crucifixion. The later strophes of the text proclaim the triumph over death in Christ's resurrection, and ends by showing belief and confidence in the same. It is a sequence particularly created for the Easter service, in which Christ's resurrection is the primary focus.
The first print of Victimae paschali laudes was done in Venice in 1539 in a book of Willaert's motets titled Motetti di Adrian Willaert. The piece was originally published for 4 voices at this time. This print is held in the collection of the Bayerische Staatsbibliothek, the largest scientific universal library in Germany. Founded in 1558, the Bayerische Staatsbibliothek is the central state and archive library of the Bavarian province. Circa 1545, a manuscript version of the 4-voice motet was written by an anonymous copyist in Ferrara, in a book of 99 pieces by 12 composers titled Motets, for use by the ducal court of Alfonso in d'Este. This Bassus part book is held in the collection of the Royal College of Music in London. The college was founded in 1883 as the successor to the short-lived National Training School of Music. In 1559, the 6-voice version of Victimae paschali laudes was published in a book of Willaert's more recent compositions titled Musica Nova di Adriano Willaert. This version demonstrates a growing complexity in Willaert's skill as a composer. Listen to the difference between the Willaert 4-voice motet you hear now, O Magnum Mysterium, from around 1545, and the later 6-voice version of Victimae paschali laudes. Musica Nova is held in the collections of the Museo Internazionale e Biblioteca Musica in Bologna, Italy, and the Bibliothèque Sainte-Geneviève at Sorbonne Nouvelle University in Paris, France.
Later early manuscripts of the 6-voice motet exist as well. One such manuscript, copied around 1560, was likely written by the scribe named Hernando Bustamante for use by the ducal court of Ferrara. This manuscript is held in the collection of the Biblioteca Estense in Modena, Italy. Another manuscript was copied in the late 1570s at the Gymnasium Poeticum in Regensburg, Bavaria, Germany. This copy was likely created by a scribe known as Erasmus Zollner for use by the choir at the Gymnasium in local evangelical services. This manuscript can be found at the Bischöfliche Zentralbibliothek in Regensburg. The number of published versions of Willaert's work speaks to his developing skill as a composer and his enduring legacy after his death, and continued to grow with time. His works are still collected, compiled, preserved, and performed today.
The story of Willaert's setting of this sacred sequence is also the story of the composer's own career. From humble beginnings, he honed his craft and grew to be celebrated as the foremost musician of his time. As his musical skill developed, so too did the complexity of his work, as we see in his return to the Victimae paschali text. As a truly great artist, He recognized that even in works from decades past, we can always find room for improvement.